man there can bowl 10 overspells. He can bowl half a session if he needs to. Oh, that's good from South. He went the other way. Nice piece of bowling.
Just angling away, seaming away from the left-hand batter. All nice soft hands here from Tom Blundell. But it's a really key variation that here for Tim Southey, just the scramble or the wobble seam. I'm surprised now he tries to swing this one back in, being the last ball of the over, trying to hit that front pad.
Good adjustment, left alone. 19 without loss.
I feel like we're missing the one obvious bowler.
ব্যালেন্স রিচার্জ করতে দোকানে যেতে হবে কেন? গ্রামীণ ফোনে রিচার্জের দোকান তো এখন মোবাইলে। যখন যেখানে খুশি ম্যাজিক অ্যাপ থেকে রিচার্জ করা যায় খুব সহজেই, সাথে ক্যাশব্যাকও পাওয়া যায়। এখন মাসের দুটি বিল বিকাশ করুন চার্জ ছাড়াই।
Well played. There is some swing there for Jameson. The surface looks pretty good on day 3. Let's go back over the previous days. That was day 1. That looks like the outfield pretty much. Take to a little bit of wear and tear, a little bit of a change in colour around pop increase. And then today, again, a market change in the colour. So good batting day ahead.
That looks like a glorious pitch to bat on, doesn't it, mate? Traditionally, day 3 is the best day to bat down here at Hagley Oval.
Fuller finds the gap at mid-wicket, just a single.
Well, Cole Jameson, he's done a lot of work on his in-swing delivery. We've seen a lot of those to the left-hander. Motor dismissal, he's looking to go across, set the batters up, and then he's got the one that comes back into the left-hander. So we haven't seen that one yet, but it wouldn't surprise me if later on in this over, next over, he looks to bring that in-swinger to the left-hander.
Yeah, there'll be a plan he's working to. Exactly right, Katie. It's just when does he go to that change, that variation. Interesting talking about the surface, which I think's been an excellent one. Day 1, 349 runs scored for just the 1 wicket. Day 2, yesterday, 15 wickets for 298 runs. Quite a contrast between day 1 and day 2. And I think day 3, as we mentioned at the pitch report, Millsy, I think it's a really good batting day. You get yourself in, bowlers are going to have to work really hard to dismiss you. It's such a quick scoring ground as well, so you can really make hay. Well, there goes the other one. Came into the left-hander but wasn't well directed. Working to that plan is Kyle Jameson.
Well, yesterday we talked about the scallops out of the wicket, so it's a little bit softer on top. We saw some of the wicket actually coming out, but looks a lot more even today. Probably filled, rolled overnight. Probably a bit drier than I'd expect, Mac.
Yeah, it is, Katie. And Bangladesh had the heavy roller on it this morning, making sure that they had the heavy roller trying to flatten it out, make sure those indentations were smoothed out. Just looks a good surface. Still some swing though for the bowlers, and they really have to utilise with this new ball, Kyle.
He's been bowling beautifully here, Kyle Jameson. The last 2 balls have been the 2 in-swingers. The previous ball he just got a touch short. This one's a touch fuller. At the start of the over, you can see here, he's tried to swing it in, and the ball before that, he tried to swing it as well. He got too short, so he pitched that one further up. Now, if I talk about the first 3 balls of the over, they all went across him, using the outswing to the left-hand batter.
Wide down the leg side, 22 without loss.
উজ্জ্বলতা ক্রিম না, আমার উজ্জ্বলতার রহস্য নতুন লাক্স জেসমিন আর ভিটামিন ই সহ নতুন লাক্স, যা দেয় মখমলি উজ্জ্বলতা। কাউকে বলো না আমার উজ্জ্বলতার রহস্য নতুন লাক্স।
আমি মুরগির মাংস খাবো।
ছেলেটাই মুরগির আপনার নতুন কিছু না, তাই বাসায় রাখি রাঁধুনি রেডিমিক্স মুরগির মাংসের মশলা। ব্যাস হয়ে যাবে ঝটপট দারুণ রান্না।
Matt Henry, New Zealand 12th man on the field for Tim Southey, who's just gone off for an over or two. First sighting of Neil Wagner this morning, left armour. Terrific figures, that 232 wickets and 56 test matches. Such an X factor in this New Zealand lineup. It's a good start, good area, just a hint to swing. 3 slips in the gully and play for Wagner. And it's going to be a mixture. He's going to try and swing it probably first up, Katie, and if it doesn't get the success or the reward doing that, I think we know what plan B is.
Well, he started his career at Otago as a swing bowler, and as he made his way into this New Zealand side, his role changed and he turned into the aggressor, and he's so good on flat wickets to put fear in the batters.
Again, he's trying to swing that ball. It's just a hint.
He has such a great ability to swing the ball. You saw in the Mount, his first spell, he did actually get a lot of swing. And we talked a bit about whether, because it was that swing, he did delay going to that short pitch tactic. But when he did, it was effective as it has been throughout his whole career.
He's put a lot of time in to proving that he's not a one-trick pony. It's just the short stuff. That's good. It's an excellent start from Wagner. He's asking questions here of Shudman. Honing in on that off stump. Just a hint to swing.
Yeah, shaping it and then going away late as well. It's that late swing that does bring in the opportunity for the edge. You see the passion and the aggression on his face as he runs in. We saw a lot more passion and aggression when he unfortunately had that no ball in the first game, but he wears his heart on his sleeve, Neil Wagner.
Why can't it be half and half? Take that out of play. It's a good fist up over from Wagner. 23 without loss.
যার যেমন পছন্দ নিমিশেই তৈরি মজাদার বসুন্ধরা নুডলস, ইয়াম্মি স্বাদে পুষ্টির বাহার।
তাই বলে 3 বার?
হ্যাঁ, টানা 3 বার ওকলা স্পিড টেস্টে দেশের ফাস্টেস্ট নেটওয়ার্ক বাংলা লিংকে সবচেয়ে বেশি 4G স্পিড।
Oval in all its glory. a bit of a heat wave at the moment, Katie. Up and down the country, temperatures are high, which is great over this festive period. People starting to head back towards work from their holidays, but certainly not quite used to having such high temperatures for such an extended period of time. Well, it's interesting before the start of play today. Both teams are out warming up around the oval. There's some good chat going on amongst the bowlers. Very who's had some success, just talking about the wrist and the seam and the ability to swing the ball. So good from the New Zealand boys that are prepared to pass on that knowledge and that experience to the opposition. I think it's great also, Katie, that Bangladeshi bowlers are comfortable to go and ask and chat to the New Zealand guys about those sorts of things. Get that experience, that learning on a tour like this.
It's fantastic. I have heard a few feedback in the old days. You would definitely not be doing that, Craig. But these guys play franchise cricket with each other so often and are so used to having conversations as teammates, and it's brilliant to see. I'm sure you weren't talking to Shane Warne about how you bowl a flipper.
Everyone's a lot more friendly these days. Everyone's friendly now. It's a beauty. Jameson has it, but it was the keeper that made it that special.
What a catch, Tom Blundell, down the leg side. That is wide. Just got the glove, caught behind him. Great catch, Tom Blundell. Oh, just misfortune, but Tom Blundell, he's made that great movement down the leg side. Shudman, he's got to go for 21. Bangladesh, 27 for 1.
ব্যালেন্স রিচার্জ করতে দোকানে যেতে হবে কেন? গ্রামীণ ফোনে রিচার্জের দোকান তো এখন মোবাইলে। যখন যেখানে খুশি মাজিপি অ্যাপ থেকে রিচার্জ করা যায় খুব সহজে, সাথে ক্যাশব্যাকও পাওয়া যায়।
কি হলো আপু? মন বলছিল ড্রয়িং রুমের লুকটা বদলাই, আর কোমর সরি বস বলে দিল। জানেন কি 30-এর পর বোন ডেন্সিটি কম হতে শুরু করে, তাই নিন হরলিক্স উইমেন্স প্লাস। এর 100% ক্যালসিয়াম ও ভিটামিন ডি হাড়ের শক্তি ধরে রাখতে সাহায্য করে। যদি মনের কথা শুনতে হয়, শক্ত হয়ে দাঁড়াতে হবে। এখন মাসের 2টি বিল বিকাশ করুন কোনো চার্জ ছাড়াই।
ভাবে চাই হবে যখন চাই হবে যত্ন প্রিয় মুখে প্রিয় স্বাদ ইয়ামি সাথে ইয়ামি 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 সাথে পুষ্টির বাহার
যার যেমন পছন্দ নিমিশেই তৈরি মজাদার বসুন্ধরা নুডলস ইয়ামির সাথে পুষ্টির পাহাড়।
চ্যালেঞ্জ আসতেই থাকবে, কিন্তু আমি থামবো না। নিউ ক্লিয়ার ম্যান আমাকে খুশকি থেকে দূরে থাকতে সাহায্য করে। এর ট্রিপল অ্যান্টি ড্যান্ড্রাফ টেকনোলজি খুশকি দূর করে এবং বারবার ফিরে আসা বন্ধ করতে সাহায্য করে, আর নিয়মিত ব্যবহারে 99% জীবাণু দূর করে। লুকানোর দিন শেষ।
ব্যালেন্স রিচার্জ করতে দোকানে যেতে হবে কেন? গ্রামীণ ফোনের রিচার্জের দোকান তো এখন মোবাইলে। যখন যেখানে খুশি মাজিপি অ্যাপ থেকে রিচার্জ করা যায় খুব সহজে, সাথে ক্যাশব্যাকও পাওয়া যায়।
জিজ্ঞেস করবে আপনার উজ্জ্বলতার ক্রিম না, আমার উজ্জ্বলতার রহস্য নতুন লাক্স জেসমিন আর ভিটামিন ই সহ নতুন লাক্স, যা দেয় মখমলি উজ্জ্বলতা। কাউকে বলো না আমার উজ্জ্বলতার রহস্য নতুন লাক্স। জানুয়ারি মাস জুড়ে আকাশ কিনুন 500 টাকা ডিসকাউন্টে। নতুন বছর শুরু হোক নতুন আকাশ সংযোগে।
আচ্ছা, ইউনিভার্সিটি ইলেকশনে শুধু ছেলেরাই দাঁড়ায়, এটা কি বদলাবে?
বাবা, আমি ইলেকশনে দাঁড়াবো।
ইলেকশন করা রোদ এত কষ্ট বাদে মা।
তুমি দৌড়তে শিখেছো, উঁচুতে উঠতে পারবো না তা তো শেখাওনি।
কড়া রোদ এটা সামলাবে, তুই গ্লো কর। ফেয়ার এন্ড লাভলি এখন গ্লো এন্ড লাভলি। এটি রোদ থেকে বাঁচায় আর এর মাল্টিভিটামিন ডার্ক স্পটস কমায়, দেয় এইচডি গ্লো। আর এরপর
দেশকে বদলে দেব।
গ্লো করো নিজের পরিচয়, গ্লো এন্ড লাভলি।
এখন মাসের 2টি বিল বিকাশ করুন কোনো চার্জ ছাড়াই।
ব্যালেন্স রিচার্জ করতে দোকানে যেতে হবে কেন? গ্রামীণ ফোনে রিচার্জের দোকান তো এখন মোবাইলে। যখন যেখানে খুশি মাজিপি অ্যাপ থেকে রিচার্জ করা যায় খুব সহজে, সাথে ক্যাশব্যাকও পাওয়া যায়।
Najmul Shinto has 200 to his name. Best of 163 comes in at number 3. An important job for him to do. While the opening partnership was only 27, it was solid, Katie. Both players nice and calm in their approach. Left alone. Successful over for Kyle Jamieson. Bangladesh 27 for 1.
এই জন্য আপনারা আমাকে ভোট দিন।
অরুণী, তুমি নিজের চুল সামলাও। গরম ঘাম তোমার চুলের শাইনা নষ্ট করে দেয়।
চুল সামলাবো, শাইনও করবো। সানসিল্ক ব্ল্যাক শাইন 5টি ন্যাচারাল অয়েল ফর্মুলায়, যা গরম হোক কিংবা ঘাম, এটি তোমার চুলে দেয় 24 ঘন্টা পর্যন্ত শাইন। চুল সামলাবো, শাইনও করবো।
সব দিয়েছি বিকাশ অ্যাপের পে বিলে, এক জায়গা থেকে তুমি সব বিল দিতে পারবে।
এভাবে 1000 টাকার বিল দিয়ে দিলি?
হ্যাঁ নিশ্চিন্তে, এই দেখো রিসিট, বিল দেওয়ার প্রমাণ।
আমার ছেলে মেয়ে দেশের সবচেয়ে বড় বিল পেমেন্টস নেটওয়ার্কে সব বিল বিকাশ করুন নিশ্চিন্তে।
Sometimes I stand there and I just think about the specky, and I know how you feel. You just want that leg side taken. He said, yeah, because it helps you move, because you feel like, oh, if it's a specky, I'm really going to go for it. And it probably sounds odd to anyone that's listening, but as a wicketkeeper, taking a leg side specky, standing back to a pace bowler is one of the best feelings. He just said, I just want one, and he's got it. How special.
He's having a good test match, isn't he? Played well with the bat. First 50 for a little while, but looked more composed, more aggressive with the bat, and has continued on into his keeping. It's looked very tidy. And that was a great catch that he just grabbed there. It's good from Wagner. To take a catch like that as a keeper, Katie, yes, it must boost your confidence for a start, but you've got to be doing some fundamentals right to get that in that position to actually be able to grab a catch like that down a leg side.
Yeah, there's so many different techniques at the moment with keeping. We've seen in England where they talk a lot about their wicket keepers being like soccer goalies or football goalies. Apologies to the English that are around. So he's in at about 90 degrees. If you're being pedantic, you'd probably say you'd want to be a little bit lower and a bit more powerful, but being in that position, that's where you get your power from your big muscles, the glutes, your thigh. And so being in that low position helps you explode or move left and right. See the Australian keepers, they start with their hands down, and sort of that Ian Healy sort of era, which a lot of wicket keepers in Australia have modelled themselves on. He's sort of in between there, he's in that 90-degree position, just able to explode across. The other tough thing about day 3 is the pace of the wicket also reduces as well, so you have to get closer as the test match goes on. And that reduces the reaction time. So potentially day one he might have been, 3 or 4 metres further back because there's more pace in the wicket.
Oh, I think that's the great thing about Hagley Oval with this extra pace and bounce we've talked about. He's still a long way back, so you get a good sighter of it. I mean, that's going to be, what are we going to say, 15 metres? Maybe closer to 20, somewhere around there. It's still a long way back on day 3. So you've got that time to actually see the ball and then explode into that position. It's a good over. It's a maiden from Neil Wagner. 27 for 1.
খালামণি কঠিন তেল চর্বি কিভাবে দূর করে শিখিয়ে দাও না, হোস্টেলে খুব কাজ লাগবে। এই নে ভিম, এতে আছে 100 লেবুর শক্তি, যা তোর থালা বাসনের কঠিন তেল চর্বি দূর করবে। ওয়াও, থ্যাংক ইউ খালামণি। এখন এরকম সিচুয়েশনে কি করবি? খালামণির থেকে এটাও শিখে নে। খালামণি, তুই কি ভেবেছিলি খালামণি শুধু থালা বাসনই ধুতে পারে? অনেক কিছু নতুন দেখতে পাবে যখন এগিয়ে যাবে থালা বাসন ছাড়িয়ে। ভিম, এগিয়ে যাও থালা বাসন ছাড়িয়ে। আপনার সোনামণির জন্য পারফেক্ট ডায়াপার এসএসসির স্মাইল প্যান্টস বেবি ডায়াপার। এবার বাচ্চা সারা রাত ঘুমাবে নির্বিঘ্নে, আর আপনিও ঘুমান নিশ্চিন্তে। স্মাইল প্যান্টস বেবি ডায়াপার। ওর হাসি সবচেয়ে দামি।
The reality is run rate's not important, but it's been Jamieson with the breakthrough. Looks like he's got better rhythm. Good morning, Kyle Mills. Just not saying he's been struggling, but today it looks like he's got nice momentum moving in and he's just getting through the action, getting that bounce. And I think he's also really enjoying the City end. This is the end, had all the success at last summer where he picked up the 6 wickets, I believe. And it does take time. I know he played the test matches up in India, but to get overs under your belt. He's looked nice this morning, and the most impressive thing that I've seen is he's swinging the ball both ways. Oh, that's a lovely shot. Over-pitched and just dispatched. A good way to get off the mark for Shanto. Yeah, lovely shot from Shanto. And this is important. When the ball's there to be hit from a loose delivery, they need to make the most of it. Yes, they have to bat time. They have to really apply themselves, but they still need that intent to keep the scoreboard ticking over. And when you're presented with half volley, he's played that nice. He's waited for it, timed it through the leg side. Because as a batter, you don't have favourite ends. I mean, you don't know what end you probably scored the most runs from. But from a bowling point of view, there are many grounds where you do have your favourite ends. Let's go look at the technique here, Shanto. He goes back and across, and his front foot is in the air, and then comes forward. He gets in that position where he doesn't get it back on the ground. So a lot of work has to be done off his back leg, which is actually, interestingly, where you get your power from when you push. And there's a good example of that one, where he tried to get forward and he couldn't get his foot down. It was nearly in the air as he played the shot. So the front foot goes back, it's in the air, he's trying to come forward, and it only just hit the ground before he plays the shot. So he's not set. And I think this will encourage Kyle a lot in the sense he might go across him for a period of time or a few deliveries, and then bring that in-swinger back in and try and get him out LBW. He did that nicely a couple of overs back, Kyle Jamieson. And this Shanto's suits him and matches up really nicely to him. Put down a third slip. It looked like diving in front of cross of second. It went fast. Mitchell puts it down. Goes into the wicket, trying to go across it. I guess this is what you're talking about as well. It's important with that foot in the air. He then has to go with it with his hands, doesn't he? And And he's followed the line of the ball with his hands, with Kyle Jamieson trying to go across him, and a half-open blade. And you see there, Daryl Mitchell at third slip, diving across to his right. Perhaps it could have been Tom Latham's catch. Swing, but chance down, 33 for 1.
পেয়েছিস? ম্যাম কি জিজ্ঞেস করবো? কি জিজ্ঞেস করবে? আপনার উজ্জ্বলতার ক্রিম না, আমার উজ্জ্বলতার রহস্য নতুন লাক্স, জ্যাসমিন আর ভিটামিন ই সহ নতুন লাক্স, যা দেয় মখমলি উজ্জ্বলতা। কাউকে বলুন না, আমার উজ্জ্বলতার রহস্য নতুন লাক্স। এখন মাসের 2টি বিল বিকাশ করুন কোনো চার্জ ছাড়াই।
At the bat, but he got to face spin because in some ways they didn't have the resources, Bangladesh, to be able to keep the pressure on. New Zealand can do that.
No.
Lovely length here from Wagner, and just touched on it just before actually, Craig. When you have rich resources like they have now, it's the management the skipper has to produce today on rotating his bowlers round, keeping them fresh and using them wisely, because he has got rich resources in bowling. He's got Daryl Mitchell up his sleeve as well.
No ball from Neil Wagner. Just picked something up too, Kyle. Drop catch by Mitchell at third slip. If we pan into the slip quarter now, standing at third slip, it's probably the player you'd expect to be there, and he is there now, Tim Southey. So we're just trying to find out, was he off for an over? He was off for an over, it's just been confirmed, so a few overs after his spell, he's back on now. You always feel bad you drop a catch and you get taken out of that position. Nicely played and down the ground, looking to play straight. Naeem, very patient debut.
It's nice, isn't it? He's waited for it, tried to play it underneath his eyes, used the cheek drive, and it's a good surface. Day 3, possibly the best day for batting. It's the period of application that's going to be required.
Oh, that's a wonderful shot. Just a flick of the wrists. Going to go to the boundary, but they'll get 3.
It's a lovely shot, and that should give him a lot of confidence as well on the back foot. That just shows you how true this wicket is as well. Nice and still at the point of impact, high elbow, the front elbow's nice and high, and he's washed it all the way onto his bat. I'm sure there's still a few nerves as well. Test debut, obviously the first innings didn't work out for him. Naeem, good delivery from Tim Southey.
Shape him down. And Tim Southey, he's in at third slip, and we had a discussion yesterday with Stephen Fleming and Brendan McCullum about
New Zealand's best slip cordons, and clearly Stephen Fleming would always be in there. Tim Southey's actually taken 17 catches off Trent Bolt and 16 off Neil Wagner. Majority of those would be in that position that he is now. He's turned himself into a very, very good slipper. Gonna have to hurry. Bolt just couldn't get balanced. Good intent from Bangladesh. 40 for 1.
মা সন্তানের সম্পর্কের মতোই বিশুদ্ধ ত্বকের সাথে ভ্যাসলিনের সম্পর্ক। দেশের একমাত্র 100% পিওর ভ্যাসলিন পেট্রোলিয়াম জেলি ত্বককে শীতের শুষ্কতা থেকে সুরক্ষিত রাখে। 100% পিওর ভ্যাসলিন পেট্রোলিয়াম জেলি ত্বকের যত্নে মায়ের স্পর্শের মতোই বিশুদ্ধ।
এই জন্য আপনারা আমাকে ভোট দিন।
অরণি, তুমি নিজের চুল সামলাও। গরম ঘাম তোমার চুলের শাইন না নষ্ট করে দেয়।
চুল সামলাবো, শাইনও করবো। সানসিল্ক ব্ল্যাক শাইন 5টি ন্যাচারাল অয়েল ফর্মুলায়, যা গরম হোক কিংবা ঘাম, এটি তোমার চুলে দেয় 24 ঘন্টা পর্যন্ত শাইন। চুল সামলাবো, শাইনও করবো।
Because it's coming quickly, isn't it? You've got to react very, very fast, and it's that soft hand element.
Yeah, you're right. And it's not that easy, because what you do in the slip is you just chuck your hands. But what I mean by opening up or not diving, watch Tom Latham here. It's the first innings. That one still was right, and he just opens up his foot, opens up the hip, the head goes across, and he takes that cut so comfortably. And then this one here, he's expecting it to come again to his right, opens up the... I mean, he's a keeper, and it's a keeping technique, but that's the sign of quality slip builders, the movement.
Yeah, beautiful technique, nicely described too, Craig, but you also saw the soft hand element there as well. He's not going, he's just giving with the ball as soon as it enters his hands.
Down the ground. Looking to play nice and straight. That'll feel good. He's looked good, Shanto.
Yeah, that'll give him confidence. Hitting down the ground. That can be the key for Shanto as well, especially early in his innings. Hitting down the ground. And Cole Jamison's going to operate to a formula of going to cross the batter. They play nice and straight's nice.
And Daryl Mitchell, who's a good slipper, don't get me wrong. But this is the edge, and watch, instead of opening up, that one-hand dive, maybe slightly wider, so that's the reason, but it's the balance. It's the balance that is there. Mitchell was a good slipper. Probably could have left it two to Latham, but still.
Interesting, Craig. In the game of cricket, you talk a lot about partnerships and combinations in the bowling department and in the batting department. There's also that partnership and the combination in the slip cordon as well, isn't there? Also between keeper and first slip, and then also between first and second slip, between Ross Taylor and Tom Latham, and third slip. Now, it's a little bit foreign probably for Tom Latham to have Daryl Mitchell there compared to Tim Southey. There's that partnership element to it as well.
Yeah, it was a good example as you were talking, Kyle, of Latham and Southey talking about their spacing, and the feeling was maybe Mitchell was a little bit closer to Tom Latham than when Tim Southey stands, and Ross Taylor is set up at first. It's quite wide for Ross Taylor, but then it's the key between those two there.
And it's still early in their partnership as well, isn't it, between Tom Blundell and Ross Taylor? What sort of distance they should have between each other. It goes through to Tom Blundell there. And it's just that space, and sometimes these things just take time.
And second slip, often he lines himself up with the wicket keeper the same length, so Blundell might take a step forward here. But Southey's quite a long way in front there. KJ. 44 for 1.
দিয়েছি বিকাশ অ্যাপের পে বিলে এক জায়গা থেকে তুমি সব বিল দিতে পারবে।
এইভাবে 1000 টাকার বিল দিয়ে দিলি?
হ্যাঁ নিশ্চিন্তে, এই দেখো রিসিট, বিল দেওয়ার প্রমাণ।
আমার ছেলে মেয়ে দেশের সবচেয়ে বড় বিল পেমেন্ট নেটওয়ার্কে সব বিল বিকাশ করুন নিশ্চিন্তে।
Second and third slip.
Great skills, boys.
I suppose the question, Kyle, will be this is Ross Taylor's last test match. Who'll go into first slip for the Black Caps? Will that be a Tom Latham? Pretty simple, just go in there because at the moment he's their best second slipper.
He is. I'll put another. I'm not too sure that in the domestic scene where Will Young fields, but I sense he's got good hands, and Devon Conway is another one as well.